lost my heart in California. I let it go deep into the blue. I could be happy in California. I would be fine with just me and you. Now don't go changing your heart. We gotta keep the blue. We gotta keep the blue. Shore. Now at a blue moon and under dark skies, I keep on crying. Give me more. Ooh. Now don't go changing your heart. We gotta keep the blue. We gotta keep the blue.
And here we are. He just makes sure that his microphone is unmuted. There you go. It wouldn't be a Geeksvana stream without me having to check my mic, would it? How are you, Stephen?
I'm fine, Sean. How are you?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is one of those streams that I absolutely love. And thank you, everybody, for being here. But I would be doing this stream if it was just me and Stephen, because we've both been geeking out about this stream for a good long while now. And we're very, very excited because it's bringing up so many of our interests of tech and space and drones, and it's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it.
But the day's finally here.
Yes,
finally.
Exactly. And look, there's Mission Control.
They're all watching Geeksvana.
Yeah, do you think? Yeah, I think I can see Geeksvana on that guy's monitor over there, which I'm actually quite concerned about. He needs to get off and get back onto his telemetry that he's watching.
Well, watch. Let's see. If someone in Mission Control is watching Geeksvana, raise your left arm now.
Let's have a little listen to their audio, shall we? That's quite low, actually. I might not be able to hear it. But yes, so we're very, very excited. Now, this evening, we are going to be following the landing of Perseverance, of course. We mute their audio now. The main focus this evening, however, is going to be on the drone, the helicopter that's within or under Perseverance. And we're going to be taking a bit of a good look at that as well. As the evening goes on, we'll be switching back and forwards to the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratories mission control, and the NASA commentary feed as well, so that we can we can all get very excited about what's happening. So please bear with us if we have any technical issues, because of course this is something very, very new that we're trying, bringing feeds in from multiple different places, and all courtesy of NASA and the Jet Propulsion Lab at Caltech. So thank you very much to those guys for making all of this possible. I really do appreciate it. Well, shh.
It is going very well.
I'll just say hi to a few people in the chat before we get going. Andy Keast, great to see you, sir. Old Fart with a GoPro, which me and Stephen were just commenting on. That's a great name for a channel. Treetop Flyer, hi. Legwork, David Hayworth, Welsh Rob, Lindsay Hayes, hello. KH Drones, Andy Keast again, Jamie Allen, Mike Drennan, Flyby Guys. Who's that? I've never heard of this Flyby Guys. So I don't know who they are. Philip Koshat, David Hayworth, good to see you. Max Air 420, hi. And everybody else that's joined us, especially the people that popped in early to say hi, like Philip Koshat, Mark Lum, Legwork, etc. Really good to see you all. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we've got lots of really cool content to run through. We're going to start off by looking at a little bit of background from the JPL point of view, which is just a little 3-minute video to give you a little bit of background about what we're doing here today.
Sometimes you have to do something just to show that you can do it. When the Wright brothers flew for the first time, they flew an experimental aircraft. And in the same way, the Mars helicopter is designed to show that we can fly powered helicopter flight in the Martian atmosphere.
From day one, this was the unwavering dream of our team, to get our helicopter launched to Mars so that we can get that opportunity to do the very first rotorcraft flight test in the actual environment of Mars. It's extremely difficult to fly at Mars because the atmosphere is so thin. Compared to Earth, at Mars it's less than 1%. So the first and foremost challenge is to make a vehicle that's light enough to be lifted. And then the second is to generate lift. The rotor system has just been very fast. 2,000, 2,200, 2,400, 2,600. We're spinning between 2,000 and 3,000 revolutions per minute, and it takes a lot of energy. So it's that balance of a very light system, yet having enough energy that's needed to spin the rotor so fast to lift, and on top of it, having to design in the autonomy.
It has to be fully autonomous from the time it takes off to the time it lands. What we do on the ground is we plan the flights, and so we determine from here where we want the helicopter to go.
Our experiment window is 30 Martian days. So we have planned up to 5 flights of incremental difficulty.
Very first flight, the main thing is we want to get the legs off the ground, and so we will basically go up about 3 meters, and we'll hover there, and then we'll come down again, and that will be the first, really major milestone.
Most of our flights will be at the 3 to 5 meter height. We will be going horizontally again at a few meters per second, probably go out, 50, 70 meters and come back. In successive flights, we'll probably push that further, try to go further. So our priority will be to get back engineering telemetry and not so much images, but I'm sure we'll return a few, because they'll always look cool.
At this point, we've tested all we can on Earth. We have mathematical models that shows how it'll fly at Mars, and we've tested it in the simulated environment that we can create on Earth. It really is time now to do the real flight tests at Mars.
Nothing is a given, but we have done everything we can in terms of a test program here on Earth. The vehicle's performing extremely well so far. It's been doing exactly the right thing, even right now when it's bolted onto the Perseverance rover. So there's a very good chance that we'll pull it off, yes. But it's still high risk, and none of us forget that you could have a glitch that, could mean end of mission, yes.
It's going to be exciting, reacting to any surprises we have. We can't wait. What's really most important is everything we're learning here is for the future rotorcraft systems that we want to introduce into space exploration.
Very cool stuff indeed. Thank you, Andy Keats, for the £2 super chat. I did notice I'm waiting tonight for the best comment of referring to our Earthbound drones possible to do with this, and I think Lindsay Hayes has started us there by saying, does it have auto return to home?
Philip Cochant's just saying here, no, it's R2R, return to Rover.
Yes, exactly.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Indeed. Well, tonight we're going to be looking at all sorts of things, including how they're actually going to deploy the drone from the rover when it gets there. We're going to be talking about the specs of the drone, and also we've even got the first flight path mapped out actually, which was came to us via NASA as well, which is very exciting. So we're going to and looking at a few of the milestones, a few of the challenges that are ahead for the little drone once it does actually get there, which I'm looking forward to. They're actually I'll bring the feed up as well because it's showing them working through a few of the different things over at the mission control, including this one here. If I wind back, you can see them actually testing out which of the arrays is collecting most data, which I think is so cool, isn't it? It's so cool that they how open they are with all of this information. It's very, very exciting. Let's make sure that's 100% live there. There we go. So yeah, no, very, very, very exciting. So one of the questions I had was actually, you know, obviously we've seen bits and bobs of the video of the rover itself being deployed and then being brought down to the surface, but of course it's actually how the drone itself comes off the bottom of the rover itself. And we've actually got a little video here, which I go to the right page, which actually shows how the drone itself will drop down, which I thought would be an interesting one to watch.
2, 1, 0. Release. 2, 1, 0. Yes. 2, 1, 0.
Clever, isn't it? It just, you know, it's so, you know, only one of those things has to fail, of course. I assume they've got some kind of override which will allow the thing to drop if it does fail, so that they can just jettison it and move on, basically.
But it just really shows that the level of autonomy that is there.
Yes,
is just incredible. And
it's amazing.
How far away from this level of autonomy, you know, that we will have here, I have no idea. But that's just incredible. I'm so excited by this.
It is phenomenal, isn't it? And it's, you know, the drone itself. If I bring it up here on a little picture, you can see here that it's a very simple craft. It's got a couple of props there, as you can see, on a single shaft. Obviously, they'll be going at counter to keep itself there. It has to get to something like, I think it's 2,200, 2,700 RPMs to even be able to lift off, which is incredible. So the antennas, the radio antennas, which talk to Earth via the Mars 2020 rover, and then the rover will then talk to the Mars orbiters, which then beams the signal all the way back to Earth, which is interesting. The avionics and body, it's avionics or brains, helps the helicopter function, navigate. The body has insulation and heaters to keep sensitive electronics warm and survive the cold Martian nights. So there's a lot of stuff on here that we recognise from our consumer drones, isn't there, really?
Of course. But the last thing you want, especially on Mars, is a software update to suddenly, you know, be there, and then you have to, you know, obviously update the software and restart the drone, and then. Are
you trying to upstage the audience? Are you trying to upstage the audience with the best Earth drone reference to the Mars drone?
Look, I'm just saying that, of course, these are things that, you know, that we have to encounter, you know. But I mean, the worst one ever would be, you know, a gimbal calibration, you know, or let's say, you know, have to calibrate the IMU.
Yes, exactly.
The IMU should be warm enough, so it should be okay.
But that's a really good point, because with you know, we have enough. Sometimes I have enough trouble. I mean, I've been learning how to fly the Inspire 1 recently, and you know, the amount of information you have to take in, it's a little bit more in depth than just throwing your Mini 2 in the air. And you know, it does take some work sometimes, especially if we have an update issue or something like that. I have to get the DJI Assistant 2 out, or speak to Parrot customer services, which is 7 minutes of terror all by itself, frankly. But you can imagine that issue, if there's any issue on Mars. Of course, the whole situation of how you resolve those issues is so much more complex. Absolutely fascinating, frankly. So it has the sensors and the cameras obviously in there as well. The sensors will collect data on how fast the helicopter is traveling and in which direction. Then the cameras will help the helicopter to see as well, of course. And of course, batteries.
Yeah. And then of course the level of autonomy, because isn't it that it's a 20-minute delay
Yes.
from what happens on Earth
Yes.
to what happens on Mars.
And they have to give a bunch of commands. They can't just say, okay, take off, and then they'll wait for it to take off. Okay, now do this. It has to be essentially a waypoints data. Everything else will be in there as well. So and at the top. Sorry, go on.
So basically what happens is that the drone will actually take off and return actually before we even actually know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the issues that any mission to Mars has. That of course the data takes so long to come back. It's already happened. So the Perseverance will have successfully landed, being positive there before we even know about it. Of course. So I mean that to me is really interesting. I find that quite fascinating. And then the last thing on the drone itself is the little top orange dot there, which is, of course, the solar panel, because it will actually, because they did recharge the drone in space, Wow. They tested the recharge in space so they can see that everything works, basically, which is pretty fantastic. Shipper's Drone Field is asking, have they got the landowner's permission? I think the plan, last time I checked, I think the plan is to ask the landowners when they get there, basically. So they're gonna hop along and try and find the landowners and basically see what they've got to say.
Now, which level of is it? Because obviously, do we know the weight of this drone so that we can actually determine the license that you have to have?
Is this what it's going to be from you all night? This awesome stream about an amazing thing happening.
Saying that this is good. This is good homework.
Well, yeah. Well, here are some of the tech specs. It's 1.8 kilograms. Is its mass. Its weight on Earth is 4 pounds, but it's only 1.5 pounds on Mars, of course. The total length of the rotors is 4 feet, which is tip to tip. No tip to tip jokes in the chat, please. The power is a solar power charging lithium-ion batteries, providing enough energy for 1 90-second flight per Martian day, which is, of course, a sol, and it's 350 watts of average power during flight, and its blade span is just under 4 feet. Flight range is 980 feet, or 300 meters, although technically, if you count it from Earth, it's a lot further. The flight altitude is up to 15 feet, which is 5 meters, because I think above that they need a special license. And there you go, I made my own joke. And the flight environment is obviously a very thin atmosphere. It's less than 1% as dense as Earth. So that's interesting, isn't it?
But that's got a lot to do with the development of how they have managed to make it take off. So the density of the air on Mars is not obviously the same as it is on Earth. So they've had to do the testing in the chamber,
exactly,
which would simulate the actual environment of Mars, and that in itself has also been incredible because this drone has not had a flight outside on Earth. It's only been in this chamber.
Yeah, that's right. Which is, I mean, this is the first non-Earth powered flight. So this is the first time there's going to be a powered rotary flight anywhere off Earth.
Outside.
Yeah, well, and it's incredible to think that it's going to be a little drone that does that. So, which is all those drones in 100 years, 150 years time, which will be zipping around Mars, carrying bits everywhere and whatever they'll be doing at that point. Whilst we're all under our Martian overlords, they'll all have this little drone to thank. So perhaps we might not even thank it, who knows. Just as a reminder, we are streaming twice this evening. We're going to be streaming up to and just after the landing itself, which will be covered obviously by ourselves and via JPL Mission Control and the NASA feed as well. But we will also be joined at 10 p.m. by Dr. Pascal Lee, who is the chairman of the Mars Institute and co-founder, and he is a senior planetary science scientist with SETI, and he is the director of the NASA Horton Mars Project, and he'll be joining us to have a chat about this and his work to bring drones to Mars on the first manned missions, which is pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So join us for that. I will put a link in the chat so that you can hit a reminder. Just remember to open it in a different window, please, so we don't lose you all. That would help. And then we have the rendering of the spacecraft heading towards Mars. It's certainly getting close, isn't it?
It's getting there. It's getting there.
It's a bit exciting. I'm getting very excited, I have to say.
What is the landing time?
8:55 UK time is the estimated land time.
8:55 UK time, so that's 10:55 my time.
Your time, and then 5 hours.
So half an hour.
Yeah, so in about half an hour. So I'm keeping an eye on the other feed that we've got as well, as far as when that moves across to the straight commentary, because we will start listening into a bit of that. And I will actually just bring up the audio feed in the background here, and right at the point where they're saying nothing, which is really helpful, of the JPL mission control as well.
At this on M20 EDL op, at this time, we will go quiet on the net until we start our call-outs during EDL telemetry.
It's exciting, isn't it? So and interestingly, when I started watching this feed, which is a media feed earlier on, we started off with the Madrid array, and it moved down to Goldstone, and now, of course, to Canberra. What are your first memories of space as far as watching anything televised and that type of thing?
That's an easy question for me. That would be the space shuttle, the first space shuttle launch. When it launched, I think I was 11 years old.
Wow.
Maybe 10 years old. And we just got we just got, which was basically the first video recorder. Right?
Nice.
And it was the first thing that I videotaped. And I kept this videotape of the first launch of Columbia. And,
oh, wow.
Every time I think of, when I see that launch, I always think of putting the tape in, and pressing two buttons down, because it was those two.
Exactly.
Two buttons down.
Yes, exactly.
and then I kept that videotape, even though these videotapes cost an absolute fortune, because it was a new thing back then. I wouldn't let anyone tape over it. I even took out the little thing to stop you recording, So but that's one of my first memories, is the space shuttle launch, the first space shuttle launch. And I was excited then, as I am excited now, to even watch the SpaceX launches.
Brilliant. Okay, next up we're going to watch a little clip which is focused on the 7 minutes of terror, as some people in the chat have already referenced to, when this thing is finally coming into lab. But it's an absolutely fascinating watch. So enjoy this, everyone.
Nothing can be taken for granted when you get to Mars. There's a lot of things we just don't know.
Space always has a way of throwing us curveballs and surprising us.
I mean, until we get the data that says we're on the ground safely, I'm going to be worried that we're not going to make it.
Entry, descent, and landing is often referred to as the 7 minutes of terror, because it takes about 7 minutes to get from the top of the atmosphere of Mars to the ground safely.
The spacecraft has to do all of this by itself.
There are many things that have to go right to get Perseverance onto the ground safely.
There's a lot counting on this. This is the first leg of our sample return relay race. There's a lot of work on the line.
Starting about 10 minutes before atmospheric entry, we get rid of really the spacecraft part of the rover that's been supporting us.
We come screaming in to the Martian atmosphere at 12 to 13,000 miles per hour.
And the heat shield is what dissipates all that initial energy through friction.
The vehicle will continue actually flying itself through the atmosphere. It's sort of like a transforming vehicle that went from spacecraft, and now it's kind of like an aircraft actively guiding itself.
When we're going slow enough, we deploy a parachute.
The biggest supersonic parachute we've ever sent to another planet. It's critical for slowing down the vehicle.
Perseverance's entry, descent, and landing borrows heavily from that of Curiosity.
But fundamentally, Perseverance is a different rover. She's bigger, she has different instruments.
We've added a lot of smarts on the inside to make it more capable so that it can deal with the landing site that we've given.
The science team identified Jezero Crater as basically an ancient lake bed and one of the most promising places to look for evidence of ancient microbial life and to collect samples for future return to Earth. The problem is it's a much more hazardous place to land.
When you look at Jezero, all you see is danger. How do we go to a site that we never thought was safe enough to go to before? So the heat shield, which has protected us all the way through entry, is no longer necessary. We need to get that off so that we can actually see the ground. And we can see the ground in a couple different ways.
Perseverance will be the first mission to use terrain relative navigation. So while it's descending on the parachute, it will actually be taking images of the surface of Mars and determining where to go based on what it sees. This is finally like landing with your eyes open. Having this new technology really allows Perseverance to land in much more challenging terrain than Curiosity or any previous Mars mission could. Amongst the rocks and the craters and the cliffs, these things are hazardous to the rover, but these are the things that are interesting to the scientists.
Once Perseverance has figured out where she is, we jettison the back shell and parachute and light up our rockets. Those rockets help us steer to a safe landing spot that's nearby.
That descent stage takes us all the way down to about 20 meters off the ground.
That's when we start the sky crane maneuver. And once the rover has hit the ground, the descent stage will cut loose from the rover and fly away to a safe distance. Surviving that 7 minutes is really just the beginning for Perseverance. Its job, right, being the first leg of sample return, to go look for those signs of past life on Mars. All that can't start until we get Perseverance safely to the ground. And then that's when the real mission begins.
Amazing.
My question, has it already landed, but we find out at 10:2? Or is it actually landing at 10:2?
I believe the landing, well, that's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. I believe that is the actual landing time. So I think it's a couple of minutes after that that we will find out. That we'll get the telemetry and everything else like that. So, yeah. Legwork said they could have just sent a DJI S1 RoboMaster and saved a fortune. I quite like that. I don't like that concept. You know, I'm not completely against that concept. It has to be said.
No.
Now there were some actually. Let me just bring up the JPL feed because I think that's quite an interesting one to play. I think we'll keep coming back to this feed because it's quite an interesting one to play in the background there. Whilst we're waiting for the full commentary to start, we can actually pop over to the NASA feed and just see what they're up to as well.
Do so. As soon as we deploy those, we will no longer have a CG offset, and we'll be ready to deploy the parachute 17 seconds later.
Ooh.
Right where the Perseverance team is sitting now, what's in store for them as we approach landing?
I'm going to hold here for EDL prep as we're about to start that anchor.
It's getting serious.
Copy, piece 2.
The parachute thing is actually incredible there as well.
Copy, Flip.
Yeah, we will come back to this room. I've got a very short video to show everybody actually about that particular parachute and some of the tech behind it, which is a fascinating watch. We'll watch this and we'll come straight back to this feed. amazing, isn't it? Every part of this craft and every part of the landing sequence is so covered in technology and innovation. It just blows me away, frankly. It's just absolutely incredible. So as I said, we've come back to the JPL control room here, so that we can at least see what's going on there. We will bring in the audio as and when things start to happen a little bit more, which is exciting. But no, that parachute it's fascinating, isn't it? It's just
it really is
one small part of the whole thing, but everything takes so much work. It's absolutely incredible.
Was it a supersonic parachute?
Yes, that's right.
Supersonic.
Yeah, because obviously the speeds and strains and everything else, it's an incredible piece of kit, frankly. Okay, now I have a little CG of the first flight that it's going to take, and then talk about the flight path itself. I've got a little map of the flight path, so I'll play this short clip out first, and then we'll take a look at its actual flight path. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? One of the first missions for the drone, the helicopter Ingenuity, is actually to take off and take a photograph of the rover, and the rover to take a photograph of it. So it's kind of like the first Mars selfies. Yeah. So yeah. I hope they open an Instagram account for it.
It can be all these influencers on Mars.
Okay, first up, next up, show everybody this little map here. Now, this came to me via courtesy of Romeo Dersher. Thank you, Romeo, for that. And he sources NASA as the original source for this. And this actually shows what's going to be happening in the Jezero crater. So, as you can see, the little debris shield deployment square, that's obviously where it comes down. Then the craft itself will move across the helipad. Then the rover will drop the drone and will get out of Dodge. It'll go all the way over to here to a point called Twitcher's Point, which is an interesting name.
It is.
And then whilst it's at Twitcher's Point, the instructions will then be sent to the Ingenuity helicopter to take flight, and it will then do the flight which we've just seen in that little CGI thing, going up and down and taking the photos, etc. Out of its airfield into its flight zone. But it's fascinating, isn't it? Even for drone flight up on Mars, we've got things like, flight paths and flight zones and airfields and helipads and data points that we're very used to seeing as earthbound drone pilots.
Well, yeah, of course, but as part of any operations, that you have to be able to know where you're flying and where you shouldn't be flying.
Yes.
Whether you have buffer zones or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So I think it's really, really good that the flight operations are looking at that side.
Yeah, and exactly, because as a proof of concept thing, I think it's very important. Now, one thing we always see all these wonderful pictures across TV and across the internet and everything else like that. But I just wanted to show a very quick picture of the huge team, which is the team that developed Ingenuity, and you can see a little full-size model of it being held by the project manager in the middle there. But there's a lot of people that work on these things. It takes a lot of work, doesn't it, basically?
Well, I think it's like anything else, something which is quite incredible. You only see what you see on the screen, but you don't see what's happening behind. And it's just, part of this, amazing piece of development is that there's a very, very large team, and really, really good that we get to see them, because they should be very proud of themselves. They really should be,
exactly.
And they actually deserve the attention.
We'll listen here in for a second, see what's happening.
Increase the separation till entering the top of the atmosphere. From then on and out, things happen fast.
MFSK tones. telemetry will have stopped.
Telecom is confirming that the spacecraft has switched to broadcasting tones. These tones are received directly from Perseverance, but have very limited information content. We won't receive real-time information until about 9-10 minutes from now, once the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter starts relaying information from Perseverance. We are under a minute from cruise stage separation, about 10.5 minutes from entry interface.
Wow, it's starting to get a little bit more serious.
I have to admit, I am quite anxious, but very hopeful that this machine is going to do what we asked it to do.
We're seeing the heartbeat tones.
Okay, that means that there's no more ones and zeros coming. It's just the vehicle telling us it's still alive.
Wow, so they actually switched to, as they were saying, they switched from the real-time data to just that heartbeat, which is a really great description, isn't it?
Continuing to receive tones from Perseverance. Standing by for cruise stage separation.
We're watching history here with the first drone helicopter Ingenuity on board the Perseverance rover, heading down to the surface of Mars. They're going to be landing in the Jezero crater.
We have indication that cruise stage separation has been confirmed by the spacecraft.
So we have separation.
We're off on a good start.
In about 1 minute, Perseverance's landing software will wake up and begin the final preparations for entry. The first action it will do is to fire warm-up pulses with its entry thrusters. These pulses ensure that the spacecraft gets the thrust that it wants during entry interface. We're about 9 minutes from entry interface.
That's so exciting.
Nearly there.
Indeed.
Okay, so now the vehicle's on its own. It's turning itself into the direction of facing the heat shield toward Mars, and will eventually hitting the top of the atmosphere. We're not far away. This is going to go very quickly from here on out.
It's amazing when you look at the
confirmation that we got shadowed by the cruise stage as it passed through our beam to the Earth.
Telecom indicated actually that we could see a signal that the cruise stage went between the Perseverance entry capsule and Earth. So we saw a little blip, the data stream indicating the cruise stage separation. We have confirmation that the vehicle has started warming up those entry thrusters. Warm-up pulses have begun.
Oh, that's so exciting.
At this point, the spacecraft is trying to stop its spin from the cruise 2 revolutions per minute down to 0, and then will turn to its desired orientation from entry. It will separate the 2 balance masses that have kept it balanced during all of cruise. This will allow the entry capsule to have lift when it enters the atmosphere. We have confirmation that the spacecraft has turned to the desired entry attitude. We're about 7.5 minutes from entry interface.
I thought I'd switch across here to the other NASA feed, which is showing a little bit more telemetry on screen.
In the right direction. The thrusters are warmed up and doing their job. And now we've spun down from 2 revolutions per minute that the vehicle had the whole way to Mars as a spin-stabilized spacecraft. And then from here on out, it's going to just be a bullet, and it's going to control its orientation and attitude via rockets on the back of that back shell.
Points carrier lock. Sorry, the DTE from Radio Science from Green Bank reports carrier lock. You see the carrier on the downlink. Flight level 1.
We are continuing to wait for entry interface. We're about 6 minutes and 45 seconds from entry interface. We have confirmation from Greenback that they are receiving direct-to-Earth telemetry via that path. The spacecraft Perseverance is currently transmitting heartbeat tones. These tones indicate that Perseverance is operating normally and has nothing significant to report.
It's always good to hear.
As expected.
Indeed.
We're currently just over 6 minutes from entry interface.
Yeah, it's always good to hear the positive feedback.
Yeah, as they say, now we wait.
As soon as we get to the top of the atmosphere, it'll be very quickly, which is the entry point. It won't be very long before the atmosphere will start getting thicker and thicker. It's going very quickly at a fairly steep angle of 15 degrees into the atmosphere, and as it starts to slow down.
We're just under, we're about 5.5 minutes from entry interface. We're still receiving heartbeat tones. We expect to continue receiving heartbeat tones until about 5 minutes after entry. At that time, Perseverance will be no longer in view of our antennas here on Earth. About 90 seconds prior to entry, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should begin receiving telemetry from Perseverance and streaming it to Earth in near real time. There are a few expected short outages, such as when we have a plasma blackout or when we enter the peak heating phase. Aside from these outages caused by the plasma blackout, antenna switching, or high dynamic events, spacecraft events, we should have telemetry until about 90 seconds after landing. A plasma blackout is when the signal from Perseverance isn't strong enough to make it through the superheated, super fast air flowing around the spacecraft all the way down to Earth. Once the temperature drops below that peak heating, we do reacquire the signal from Perseverance. We are currently about 4.5 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance continues to report heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
Okay, what we're looking for now is Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should be in view soon of our vehicle and be able to listen to ones and zeros coming from a separate radio that's really designed to talk between spacecraft.
MRO reports the electro radio is powered on, ready to receive signals from the lander.
Okay. MRO
Exciting.
is ready and able and waiting for to hear from our rover.
Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has reported that it's ready to receive the signals from Perseverance. It should be in a few minutes here. We're just
Flight Local 1
from entry interface.
We don't need these ones and zeros, as Swati said, but to land safely, but we really need it for our own health and well-being today, to keep our nerves under control.
Around this time, a second spacecraft, Maven, should begin picking up telemetry from Perseverance and will continue to record that telemetry until several minutes post-landing. We won't get that data for several hours after landing, as it's being recorded and then will be forwarded to Earth later. We are continuing to receive heartbeat tones, indicating that everything is nominal. We're currently at about 3 minutes until entry interface.
Okay.
So we're just over 3 minutes to atmospheric entry. So it's very exciting stuff. The chap's stretching in the background there. That was cool. Like oh, please.
It sounds a bit like you at Soho this afternoon.
Yeah, basically.
But from that point on, there's definitely atmosphere, and above it there isn't.
We are 2 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance is to transmit heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
So the tones can tell us whether something is bad or not is happening. So far the heartbeat is doing well. So the vehicle thinks it's in good shape to land, which is a great sign.
Very exciting, isn't it? It's like, this amazing little control center just for the rover.
As it gets closer to Mars, Perseverance is actually being pulled in by gravity and accelerating. By the time Perseverance reaches entry interface point, she should be going just under 5.4 kilometers per second. We're at about 90 seconds from entry interface and standing by for Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to pick up the telemetry.
Just over 1 minute to atmospheric entry, and the atmosphere is certainly building. I'm feeling quite tense, actually. Are you, Stephen?
This is
We are 1 minute
there's something
from
else.
entry interface.
Yeah. Flysco Drone says he hopes they have cover drone for flyaways.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming, everyone.
Exactly. The chat is very entertaining tonight. This is just tonic water tonight, by the way, guys.
We have
No.
confirmation that the
vodka.
reconnaissance orbiter
Same
is
from me as
now
well.
relaying data from Perseverance. We're about 30 seconds from entry interface. Perseverance is going about 5.2 kilometers per second and is about 190 kilometers altitude above the surface of Mars.
Confirm your jet data flow.
Very cool.
About seconds from entry interface. 5.3 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 150 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Exactly a bird in the hand. Those entry nerves.
So this is good now. This is a good view.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of the telemetry there, the fuel, everything else like that. It's
We have
incredible.
confirmation of entry interface. Perseverance is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at
Speeding
an
up.
altitude of about 120 kilometers from the surface of Mars. The spacecraft is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere of Mars slow it down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target.
Yeah, so we were seeing when it's on the parachute, etc. It's using constant
Navigation is also
optical data to
confirming
guide
that
itself
we
into the
can see
crater,
a
which is
little bit
incredible.
of that slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule. Our current velocity is about 5.36 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 67 kilometers from the surface.
We are probably seeing MRO plasma blackout at this point.
The vehicle should be doing its turns right now.
MRO has lost lock.
I like how he said the vehicle should be doing its turns about now.
We have indications that Perseverance is now performing bank reversals in the atmosphere. These are the steps in order to control its distance to the landing target. Perseverance has just passed through the point of maximum deceleration and has indicated that it felt approximately 10 Earth Gs of deceleration.
Wow.
MRO has lock again.
We saw a small outage of the UHF telemetry from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter during that peak heating phase, likely caused by the plasma blackout. Perseverance is still continuing to perform bank reversals in the atmosphere to control its distance to the landing target.
I see that Andrew McQuillan's having fern envy in the chat
Perseverance
there.
is going about 1 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 16 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have entered heading alignment, which means Perseverance is no longer trying to control the distance to Mars, to the target on Mars, but instead is flying straight to the target.
You can hear some of the conversations happening in the background, can't you? Sort of talking about the parachute and things, and it's absolutely fascinating. Hi, Chris Moore. Great to see you. The other flyby guy in the chat there. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're well.
Our current velocity is about 550 meters per second at an altitude of about 15 kilometers from the surface.
MRO is reporting good telemetry log.
We are coming upon the straighten up. We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver, where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground. The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Here we go. This is getting exciting.
To subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface.
Crazy. As the commentator was saying, the point from only a few minutes ago where we were approaching atmosphere to now, it just has gone like that, hasn't it? It's an incredibly fast process with so many moving parts, so many things happening in that short amount of time. It's incredible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perseverance now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers of the surface.
So now it's going to be able to guide itself in. It now has radar lock.
Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers. We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Wow. Absolutely superb.
We have timing of the landing engines. Current velocity is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated. We are currently performing the divert maneuver. Current velocity is about 75 meters per second at an altitude of about a kilometer off the surface of Mars.
TRN Safety Bravo.
We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars.
Oh, 300 meters.
We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver.
We've lost direct to Earth tones.
As expected.
As expected, just dropped in there by the commentator. You can feel the tension, can't you? Here we go, people.
We're getting signals from MRO.
That's it.
UHF is good.
No one wants to call it till they get that signal.
Confirmed.
Hey!
On the surface of Mars.
Excellent.
Ready to begin seeking the sands of past life.
So Perseverance has now landed on the surface of Mars successfully, with, of course, the first drone helicopter on board.
The stage has flown away to a safe distance. Perseverance is continuing to transmit direct.
Let's have a fist bump, Stephen.
To
You have to come up. Upwards, up the top. Oh, there you go. Absolutely fantastic. It's been a challenging 2020 and 2021 so far, so it's great to see this.
MRO reports they're still getting telemetry from the lander.
All right, all stations.
We got it.
Touchdown confirmed. We're going to wait for the images.
Yeah, let's get the images.
So exciting.
Yeah, indeed.
The team is beside themselves. It's so surreal. Stay tuned. We might get some pictures.
Great.
Andrew McQuillan says he just wants them to pull up a camera feed and an alien be looking into the camera.
Yeah, we just heard the news that Perseverance is alive on the surface of Mars.
So cool. Just an amazing achievement, simply amazing.
Of EDL 3000. Copy activity. That is as expected.
That's a good comment from Old Fart with the GoPro. I hope they put in an SD card.
Exactly. You imagine, hang on, did
Still seeing strong
anyone put
signals from the lander.
the scan disc in? Anyone? No. Absolutely phenomenal. We will hang around to see if they get any of the pictures in, so we'll keep the audio going there. One of the things I wanted
just
to...
heard the news that Perseverance is alive on the surface of Mars. Congratulations to the mission. And looks like we have some more news in. It looks like we're getting the first image.
Wow.
Here, take a look at the first image.
Flight, this is OL3. I have the target point on the map when you are ready.
It's alive, Johnny
ready,
5.
OL3. Go for it.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh, crikey. That's a pretty special picture.
Yeah.
Flight, I'll be moving in, showing you the safe zone that we've landed in.
Ooh, cool. That is
Amazing. Isn't that amazing?
Just put the first image from Perseverance on the surface of Mars. Now, it comes from the engineering cameras, known as the hazard camera. This camera is mainly used to help the rover drive safely around Mars, and we will get higher resolution photos later in the day.
Well,
I'm kind of blown away by the atmosphere in there as well. It's phenomenal, isn't it? Seeing that picture, I mean, you know, they can get all the telemetry they want, but to know that it's in good enough shape that it's sending the pictures back from the hazard camera already is just phenomenal, frankly. Absolutely phenomenal.
But it was really tense. It was really good that we got the commentary from the mission lead there.
Yes.
And you really felt the tension. You
Yeah.
really felt
The one thing, yeah, absolutely. The one thing NASA and JPL have got down is their media coverage of this so far. It's just absolutely phenomenal. So what we're now looking at is the milestones for the Ingenuity rover, and I want to leave the audio from Mission Control just going in the background there a little bit, just so we can pick up on anything else that might be happening. But the milestones are obviously survive the launch, cruise to Mars, and land on the Rad planet. Well, it's done that. Deploy safely to the Martian surface from the belly pan of the Perseverance rover and unfold from its stowed position correctly.
Got our second image in. Our second image is in.
Okay, these we have a camera in the front and rear of the spacecraft. It's
Windows 10. Yeah.
You can see the wheels there, and they're a little dirty because we've got glass covers over these cameras. But we took these seconds after landing, so there's still dust in the air from our landing event. So this is happening. This happened just seconds ago. Just arrived, and this is really amazing. And we even know where we landed. This is the most amazing thing. The vehicle has told us where it's landed because it figured it out. You know, this is a sign. NASA works. NASA works. And when we put our arms together and our hands together and our brains together, we can succeed. This is what NASA does. This is what we can do as a country. On all of the problems we have, we need to work together to do these kinds of things and make success happen.
Indeed. Very good words.
Inspiring.
Yeah, indeed. After such a challenging 12, 18 months for the world in so many different ways, it's great.
Is the acting administrator of NASA, Steve Jurasik. Steve, welcome and congratulations.
Hey, thank you. What an amazing day.
How does it feel to have another rover on Mars?
It's amazing. to have Perseverance join Curiosity on Mars, and what a just a credit to the team. I mean, just what an amazing team to work through.
Okay, we'll hop back to these milestones and we'll come back if anything else is happening there. So yeah, so it's deployed safely from the to the surface, and of course it now needs to unfold from the belly pan of the Perseverance rover from its stowed position, keep warm autonomously through the intensely cold Martian nights, as frigid as minus 130 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 90 degrees Celsius. What were you telling me it is in Finland at the moment, Stephen?
It was minus 20 this morning.
So that's even colder than that extremely cold morning you had.
Slightly. Slightly, yes.
It then needs to charge autonomously using its solar panel, confirm communications with the rover and flight operators on Earth, spin up its rotor blades for the first time to a speed below what would be needed for flight. So just a little test, as we all know those little tests to get things happening. And then lift off for the first time in the thin Martian atmosphere and fly autonomously and land successfully. So that's some pretty big milestones coming up, isn't it? Really, it's pretty incredible.
When is the first flight due to happen?
Well, there's going to be flights within the first 30 days. As far as Ingenuity's first flight, I don't actually know. Let me have a look at that for you while you talk to the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that they will have.
I know it's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it happens, but
it's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the afternoon UK time.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'm sure they had to have it in daylight.
But I will have that. I will have that for the next show. Just as a reminder, once we're finished here, we'll be starting again at 10 o'clock with Dr. Pascal Lee of the Horton Mars project to talk about this particular part of the project, but also a few other bits and pieces as well. One other little video I wanted to bring people was actually the development of this amazing little drone from its first little tester all the way through to the finished item. So I'm just going to bring that up for everybody to have a look at. absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Seeing it going from that first little hoppy drone into that large machine then is really fantastic. So okay, well, I want to say thank you very much everybody for joining us for something which was a very very special to me, both in terms of the channel and in terms of history, of course, the first drone landing on Mars. So I'm very, very happy to have shared that with everybody. Also, thank you everybody for supporting the channel, for recently hitting 8,000 subscribers. Means an awful lot to me and my co-host down there, Stephen. And you know, it's no coincidence that Stephen starts operating on the channel and the subscribers are you know, flying up. But hey,
that's what happens. That's what happens.
It's what happens when you bring in the good-looking guy, isn't it? So it's all that happens. Now, a reminder, I'm going to put a link in the chat for our next live stream, which is actually in just under an hour's time at 10 o'clock, which will be with Dr. Pascal Lee talking about this stuff. Dr. Pascal Lee is a director of the Horton Mars project, which, amongst other things, he's been working on a spacesuit glove, smart glove, that will help control the future drones on manned missions to Mars. So we're going to be talking about Ingenuity again, a little bit more detail about that. He's got a couple of interesting, fascinating facts to discuss with us as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. So click that link and set the reminder for just under an hour's time. And yeah, we'll see you then.
Go and get some snacks.
Go get some snacks. Go get some popcorn. It'll be about a 30-40 minute live stream, so we won't be going on for the sake of it, but it's such a fascinating guest to bring along, and I really appreciate somebody from this niche, from this area, being able to take some time out today to come and chat with the Geeksvana audience. Obviously, regular viewers will know that Pascal has been on the channel a couple of times before, which I will put links during that stream to the previous interviews as well. But thank you very much. Congratulations, humanity. We have landed Perseverance on Mars, and the first drone, Ingenuity, the first helicopter, is on Mars as well. So we've only got some more fantastic stuff coming up. We will, of course, be keeping you fully updated on the first flights. So if you're new here, please do hit subscribe. We don't just cover drones in space. We cover drones down here on Earth as well as a lot of other good tech-related content. And yeah, excellent, Stephen. Thanks for joining me as well, sir. The new lighting looks amazing. The fern has survived, and you've even got a little red light there for Mars, which is quite cool.
I have my red light, which is from Mars.
Very, very cool. Okay, everybody, we'll see you in just under an hour's time. Bye bye.
See you soon. Bye bye.
I left my heart in California. I let it go deep into the blue. I could be happy in California. I would be fine with just me and you. Now don't go changing your heart. We gotta keep no change in your heart. We gotta keep the blue. We gotta keep the blue.